Hello everyone, we want to discuss about the national budget in Malaysia.
What is government budget? Government budget is an itemized accounting of the payments received by government, tax and other fees, and the payments made by government, purchases and transfer payments. A budget deficit occurs when a government spends more money than it takes money in. The opposite of a budget deficit is a budget surplus. Malaysia recorded a government budget deficit is equal to 3.2% of the country's gross domestic product in 2015. Government budget in Malaysia averaged negative 2.96% of GDP from 1988 to 2015, reaching an all-time high of 2.4% of GDP in 1997 and a record low of negative 6.7% of GDP in 2009. Government budget balance is difference between government revenue and expenses. The budget is balanced when outlays are equal to receipts. The country reports budget surplus when revenues are higher than expenses and deficit when expenses exceed revenues. In Malaysia, a government budget surplus of 5,581.4 million ringgit Malaysia in the third quarter of 2016. Government budget of value in Malaysia averaged 1,670.57 million ringgit Malaysia from 1981 to 2016, reaching an all-time high of 11,959 million ringgit Malaysia in the fourth quarter of 2003 and a record low of negative 8,583.5 million ringgit Malaysia in the first quarter of 2016.
How about the budget Malaysia in year 2017?
In the agriculture, Bank Pertanian gave 1.3 billion ringgit Malaysia subsidy for paper price, seeds and fertilizers including cultivation of hair paddy. The bank gives 286 million ringgit Malaysia to increase the producing of plant oil, rubber, cocoa and paper. The effect of agriculture is, first, when Bank Pertanian government give loan to farmer firm, the investment of firm will increase. Then, firm spend more and lead to the consumption increase. Second is the demand curve from aggregate demands 1 shift to rightward aggregate demand 2. When government increase the price level from P1 to P2, the real GDP will increase from Q1 to Q2. Third is when the overall price level increase, firm require more money to purchase goods and service. It will affect the inflation become increase, the unemployment rate will reduce.
Okay, but how about the Bantuan Rakyat Satu Malaysia?
The budget of the BRIM is for families under e-Kasih earning below 3,000 ringgit Malaysia, an increase from 1,050 ringgit Malaysia to 1,200 ringgit Malaysia. For families earning between 3,000 ringgit Malaysia and 4,000 ringgit Malaysia, an increase from 800 ringgit Malaysia to 900 ringgit Malaysia. The effect of BRIM is, first, when BRIM give loan to household, the income of household will increase. Then, households spend more and lead to the consumption increase. Second is the demand curve from aggregate demands 1 shift to rightward aggregate demand 2. When government increase the price level from P1 to P2, the real GDP will increase from Q1 to Q2. Third is when overall price level increase, households require more money to purchase goods and service. It will affect the inflation become increase, the unemployment rate will reduce.
What is the budget in infrastructure that you know in Malaysia?
In my impression, the budget of infrastructure that the government use is 4.6 billion ringgit Malaysia to maintain state routes under Sistem Maklumat Rekod Jalan Raya Malaysia. 495 million ringgit Malaysia to continue 69 flood mitigation project. The effect of infrastructure is, first, When the government improves infrastructure, the government spending will increase. Then, the government spend more and lead to the consumption increase. Second, demand curve from aggregate demands 1 shift to rightward, aggregate demand 2. When government increase the price level from P1 to P2, the real GDP will increase from Q1 to Q2. Third, when overall price level increase, households require more money to purchase goods and service. It will affect the inflation become increase. The unemployment rate will reduce.
Well, what you know about more in the education aspect about of the question?
Budget of education is government provides 7.4 billion ringgit Malaysia allocated to 20 public universities. Government gives 300 million ringgit Malaysia to 5 research universities and 100 million ringgit Malaysia Research Fund for higher education institutions. The effect of education. First, when PTBT end, government give loan to students' household. The income of household will increase. Then, household spend more and lead to the consumption increase. Second, the demand curve from aggregate demands 1 shift to rightward, aggregate demand 2. When government increase the price level from P1 to P2, the real GDP will increase from Q1 to Q2. Third, when overall price level increase, households require more money to purchase goods and service. It will affect the inflation become increase.
Lastly, I have one more question. Hope you can answer me. Did you know what the budget of pharmaceutical health where in Malaysia are?
The budget of pharmaceutical health. Build and upgrade new hospitals and clinics in Perlis, Kuching, Muka, Chempur, Muar and Johor Bahru. 4.5 billion ringgit Malaysia for the operations of 340 Satu Malaysia clinics, 11 Satu Malaysia mobile clinics, 959 health clinics, and over 1,800 rural clinics. The effect of pharmaceutical health. First, when government improves subsidies of healthcare, the subsidies of healthcare will increase. Then, the hospitals spend more and lead to the consumption increase. Second, the demand curve from aggregate demands 1 shift to rightward, aggregate demand 2. When government increases the price level from P1 to P2, the real GDP will increase from Q1 to Q2. Third is, when overall price level increase, hospitals require more money to purchase goods and service. It will affect the inflation become increase. Conclusion. We have to have a pragmatic and prudent budget 2017. The budget gives many benefits to citizens. The budget helps to solve the poverty problem, develop our country, become prosperity, and improve our country's economy, so that we can move forward with greater confidence to build a stronger and more sustainable economy to reach our Vision 2020 aspirations and to achieve goals in our country.